Welcome back, everyone, to the Foundry by Forge College. Right off the bat, I just want to give a massive congratulations to all of you on wrapping up your recent ERC-721 capstone assembly and presentation. You successfully validated royalty standards and dynamic metadata, and honestly, you absolutely crushed it. But, now that we've mastered single token identity, it's time to level up. Today's explainer is all about mastering multi-token contracts as we answer one really fundamental question. What exactly is ERC-1155? Here is a quick look at our agenda for today's explainer. We're going to start by identifying the multi-token problem, introduce ERC-1155, and then walk right through the warehouse blueprint. After that, we'll check out batch transfers, apply all of this to gaming and tickets, and then wrap it all up with our key takeaways. All right, let's dive into Section 1, the multi-token problem. So picture this scenario. You're building this massive, sprawling multiplayer game on-chain, right? And you want to send a player 100 gold coins, 2 health potions, and 1 incredibly rare legendary sword. Well, doing this the old way is literally a logistical nightmare. You'd have to juggle multiple ERC-20 contracts just for the fungible coins and potions, alongside a completely separate ERC-721 contract for that unique sword. That means endless approvals and, you guessed it, massive gas fees. Honestly, it's kind of like hiring an entire armored bank truck just to deliver a single tiny health potion. There's no way around it. Your users will hate the gas fees, and the user experience will suffer tremendously. The ERC-1155 way, however, completely flips the script. It gives us one unified contract, a single approval mechanism, and drastically lower gas fees. Which brings us to Section 2, introducing ERC-1155. This standard is an absolutely critical evolution in our NFTs and decentralized identity track. So what is it exactly? Well, ERC-1155 is a multi-token contract. Basically, it's an Ethereum standard allowing a single smart contract to efficiently manage fungible, non-fungible, and semi-fungible tokens all simultaneously. Instead of deploying isolated separate contracts for every single asset type, it acts as a unified toolkit. It brings the whole shebang under one single, highly efficient roof. Moving on to Section 3, the warehouse blueprint. Now, to really grasp how this works, I want you to stop imagining abstract lines of Solidity code for a second, and instead imagine a massive, highly organized logistics warehouse. Think of a two-dimensional balance mapping. In code, that's written as a mapping of a uint 256 to another mapping of an address to a uint 256. But conceptually, it's just a simple inventory ledger. The top row represents our warehouse bins. Bin 1 holds gold, bin 2 holds potions, and bin 1001 holds our sword. The rows below are the locations or addresses, like storefront A and storefront B. The contract simply tracks exactly how many items from each bin are currently sitting at each storefront, all managed in one giant, neatly organized ledger. And this quote right here really captures the fundamental paradigm shift. A token ID is a class, or bin, rather than forcing every token to be purely fungible or purely unique. This is a massive conceptual change from what you learned back with ERC-721. In ERC-1155, an ID doesn't automatically mean one unique standalone asset. It's literally just a bin. That bin can hold a stack of 10,000 identical health potions, tracked purely by count, or it can hold a quantity of exactly 1, like our legendary sword. The contract doesn't care, it just tracks the balances in the bins. Okay, Section 4, the power of batch transfers. Having a great storage system is really only half the battle, right? We need to know how to efficiently ship those items out to our users. If we want to send the gold, the potions, and the sword all at the exact same time, we don't write 3 separate transactions. That would be wildly inefficient. Instead, we simply create an array of those IDs and a matching array of the amounts. Then we use the safeBatchTransferFrom function. You can think of this function like a highly efficient warehouse forklift. It loads a mixed pallet of goods onto a single delivery truck in one atomic transaction. An atomic just means it all goes together successfully, or it reverts and doesn't go at all. No partial deliveries. This saves massive amounts of gas, drastically reduces network congestion, and makes the user experience incredibly fast and smooth. But to make that forklift operate, you need permission. In ERC-1155, we use a function called setApprovalForAll. You can think of this as giving a global shipping manager blanket authority to move items from any bin in your storefront. You aren't individually approving the sword and then separately approving the potion. You're just saying, hey, you are authorized to pack the pallet. It drastically reduces friction for marketplaces and games, but, and this is a big but, keep in mind, it requires very careful trust and security hygiene. You are essentially handing over the keys to all of your bins. Let's look at Section 5, gaming and tickets. In the various learning programs we run here at Forge College, developers are constantly utilizing this standard to build out massive on-chain asset layers. Just consider a standard gaming manifest for a moment. ID1 is gold coins, which has a massive circulating supply. ID2 is our health potion, also a large supply. But ID 1001 is our legendary sword, with a strict supply of exactly 1. Fungible items and non-fungible one-of-one items living together in perfect harmony inside the exact same smart contract. It simplifies the entire architecture. But here is a really fascinating question for you. What if a fungible token suddenly needs to become unique? This poses a completely new concept that honestly wasn't natively possible with just the older ERC-20 or ERC-721 standards on their own. Enter the semi-fungible token. These are tokens that are interchangeable by count before an event, but transition into burned or unique assets after redemption. Think about event tickets. Before a concert, general admission tickets are practically identical, right? A ticket is a ticket, and you just trade them by count. But after they are scanned at the door, they're redeemed. Maybe they are burned, or maybe they transform into a unique, verifiable collectible with specific metadata, like a digital stub proving that you specifically attended that exact show. ERC-1155 makes this semi-fungible lifecycle incredibly seamless. And finally, Section 6, Key Takeaways. Let's just summarize the structural blueprints we've drawn out today. First, the standard uses a 2E balance mapping for centralized management. That's our warehouse ledger, tracking all the bins. Second, it enables atomic batch transfers for vastly better user experience and significant gas savings. That's the forklift loading the pallet. Third, it easily supports fungible, non-fungible, and semi-fungible tokens all in one place. And finally, remember that its broad set approval for all mechanism requires careful security management. Oh, and one quick reminder, just because you have a massive warehouse doesn't mean you should overload a single contract with completely unrelated token families. Definitely keep your contracts logically organized. I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Are your decentralized applications ready to upgrade from single item deliveries to master warehouse logistics? Upgrading to this standard is an absolute game changer once you implement it. Well, that wraps up our conceptual introduction for today's explainer. Get ready, because in our upcoming lesson, we will be diving deep into ERC-1155 mechanics and batch transfers to see exactly how this is coded. Until then, keep exploring, and be sure to visit forge.college to dive deeper into this subject and discover even more amazing Web3 learning materials. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.